firefly, how short is life? I dreamt we had more than 20. I have seen this before, and I have lived more than plenty. Now lay me in the ocean. Wild lullabies, I've used my time. Now lend me to the ocean. Sing my songs when I'm gone. I know sorrow, I know pain. Let them have me if I'm ready. All them skies know our names. When it's time, burn me steady. Then lay me in the ocean. Wild lullabies, I've used my time. Now lend me to the ocean. Sing my songs when I'm gone. Ashes rise, ashes rise. White noise in the night. Ashes rise, close your eyes. Lay me in the ocean. Lullabies, I've used my time. Lend me to the ocean. Sing my songs when I'm gone. Ashes rise, ashes rise. White noise in the night. Ashes rise, ashes rise. Close your eyes, close your eyes. Taste the noise in the night. Ashes rise, ashes rise.
Now here's a finished knife that's going to be going out probably tomorrow or Tuesday. So Dan, if you're watching this, get me your address so we can get this thing out to you. And we got a couple more almost ready to go. So I'm basically just getting what time I can out here to work on this stuff. That's why things always get slow, but you guys know how I am. I always say I'm going to do all this awesome stuff, and before you know it, it's 6 months later and I'm way behind. But that's all right. We get done what we can. So these draw knives that I'm making, I've said it before, but if you're new here, I make these out of 1080 steel. Now I source my steel. A lot of people want to know, where do you get your steel? I go around to the DOT buildings and I work on their boiler and heating systems. And a lot of the, all the cutting edges up here that are on the DOT snowplows are all made out of 1080 steel. They're all 5/8 inch thick. I get them 4 to 6 inches wide. I have one here that's 8 feet long. So that's a lot of free steel. Now I've actually contacted the manufacturer of those cutting edges and was able to get the exact steel type. So that's the one thing, if you're working with steels, if you're able to find out who made whatever steel you're using, get a hold of them and see what that steel is. Now 1080 steel is a perfect steel for draw knives, things like that. It's just good stuff. It's really tough and it's extremely forgiving in the heat treatment process, which is really what you want. So I could take this, get it slightly above magnetic, I can quench it, I can throw it in my oven in the house to temper it at like 425. I do a couple of cycles on it, and the steel comes out beautiful for cutting edges. Now there's a couple steps in between. I'd like to do a few cycles of normalization, so once you've done a lot of forging on this stuff, the grain structure in the metal, they grow a lot. So you go through the normalization process and it helps consolidate those grains, shrink them down, and you have a much better quality. If you did not do that right, or you quenched it too hot, you could break that steel off and you look at it, it looks like grains of sugar in the end of it. That means you didn't do your heat treatment right. So I've just learned that through trial and error. Of course, you watch a lot of videos, read a lot of stuff, but once you get a feel for heat treating the 1080, it works out really well. It's actually pretty easy to do. So I also, when I'm testing my edges of tools, I see a lot of people who make these, they'll test them in green wood. I don't like doing that. What I just used just now in the video was a piece of white ash peg material that I had kicking around from when we built the barn. So these things, they've been cut for probably 5 years. And they've been inside, so they're nice and dry. I can shave across that end grain with this beautifully, and I'm also looking for, that's one reason I like to use a dry wood and a hard wood, is I could test that edge, I could test that bevel, and what I want to make sure, big thing I'm looking for is if my edge chips out, it's too hard. If the edge rolls, it's too soft. You have to get that happy ground in the middle. So we really take our time trying to get that. But all in all, I'm happy with it. I finally got myself a maker's mark made, and things are finally getting stamped into it. So Dan, you're going to get the first thing I've made with an actual maker's mark in it. Just a pine tree, something I could file easily into an old Easy Out that I had kicking around, and it works great. So anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. Hopefully it doesn't take a month to get the next video out, but we're going to try to get into a series of making some timber framing tools. I have a bunch of draw knives I have to finish and get them out the door, but next thing I want to try my hand out is some chisel making. Now, I'd love to be able to make the full complement of timber framing tools, but I'm learning as I go. So of course it takes a little bit of time with your research and development and what you really like, and then of course if you're making this stuff, you have to figure something that sets it apart a little bit from everybody else that's making them, because I'm certainly not the only person making this stuff. But anyway, hope you enjoyed this one, everybody, and I will catch you on the next one.